talking on the internet. What a time we live in. We can have a conversation in real time, 1,000 miles apart, people all over the world. Magic. Magic.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? I said it more than 2 times, so it's not
Is that the legal standpoint?
Yeah. Don't sue me, Winbush.
I love you.
All right.
Trademarked exactly 2 times. No
Oh,
more,
boy.
no less.
Guess my Facebooks are on.
There we go.
All right. Could do a little bat signal here.
It's kind of fun right now. I've got our conversation through Skype here. I've got my OBS camera over here, so it's live. And then up top, I've got the live stream of the YouTube is here. So I've seen my face like 3 times. Oh, and I've got the little Skype one over there 4 times. So.
And then turn on a selfie cam.
Right.
And then
I get my cell
turn
phone
on
here.
your phone.
Exactly what I'm going to do. Take a selfie real quick. Look at me go.
At channel. Let's go.
It's for the social, for the Instagram. Gotta get the gram.
I just posted the wrong bat signal. Sorry.
Sometimes it be like that.
Now people can get double bat signal.
Wow, wow. The Dark Knight strikes
There
back.
we go. Let's go. Now I got it. All right. Channel. And there we go. All right.
Let's go, Mr. John Haley.
I don't know what we're doing today at all.
That's fine.
We're gonna wing it. I got some ideas.
Got some ideas? I've got an idea.
Yeah, we got some stuff we can chat.
I am nothing if not a fantastic bullshitter. So we'll figure it out.
Oh, welcome to the club, my friend.
See?
Let's see. That's going online. The Facebook. Let's post that on my Facebooks for my one friend, John Haley, who's already watching on YouTube, so it doesn't matter. All right? Right, John Haley? All right. What else we got? I think we're good. Cool. I'm going to open up my chat, and we'll do a little show. View in the live control room. So spiffy.
Coming from our new weekly time of Wednesdays.
Wednesday at noon, at a time that people aren't used to, when Adobe Max is going on at the exact same time, and everybody's watching that.
See,
right?
This is why I'd rather be here, because no one's going to watch me. They're all watching all the cool people, like Aaron Draplin and Amanda Russell and other cool people that I looked at the schedule earlier, but I can't recall off the top of my head. But those are camp alumni, so that's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Well, why they're not here? They could be watching all that stuff later. Gosh.
If anything, Camp MoGraph now has led directly to 2 Adobe Max speakers. So if anything, Adobe Max, we're priming all your speakers here.
Yeah.
Need some sponsorship money.
Do you have headphones?
I can put them on.
Definitely need them.
Okay.
In fact, I think my local speakers are also on. So that doesn't help either. There we go. For me, at least. That's better. All right. A miggity mic. Check 1, 2. How's that going for you? Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. He's turning on the Bluetooth, y'all. It's going to go haywire.
Probably. That's usually the way it works. Where's my output on?
You have to set the output in Skype.
That's what I'm looking for right now, and I'm just not seeing it. Oh, speakers, there they are.
Yeah.
There we go.
Check 1, 2. How is that?
I hear you.
Waka waka. Who wants to hear a funny ass joke?
I do.
All right, I got my notes of nothing. I have my notes template pulled up just to remind me of the structure of the show, even though there's no structure. Here we go. What's up and welcome to another MoGraph MoCast. I'm Dave.
And I am filling in for Matt Drysen.
And MoGraph is a supplement to our site, MoGraph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, Or working for the man.
You can
email us info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, artist suggestions, show topic ideas. We're on mograph.com if you want to check out some of our other stuff like articles and things, and Mograph TV at mograph.com/TV where you can watch free animation stuffs 24/7. I almost had the new bumpers for MoGraph TV all set to go with all the fall things. They just rendered before the show, so you'll see that switch over happen fairly soon if you're watching on the old live, because we're also on there. That's what's great. You don't even have to switch. You don't even have to switch to this live stream.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. F it. Matt Milstead is watching from.
Hey, buddy. I promise to make you proud.
Like Disney or somewhere. He's on vacation. We've had a couple weird weeks. More than that, really. When's the last time we had a regular show with a regular ass guest? You know, I haven't done that in a while. But we did. We're doing the DAT tour. We did Half Res, which seems like a year ago. At this point, we did Camp MoGraph, of course, which was amazing, and we did the wrap up with Casey, and we did the wrap up with Casey on time. But I got back in town. I've been talking about some things going on with my dad, and he was back in the hospital, and I got back in town, so I didn't post that show right away. It took about a week, and I was about to finally post that, and we were about to start a show 2 weeks ago. No, a week and a half ago, and I got a call from my mom like minutes before the show that something had happened to my dad while he was in the hospital, and we didn't know what it was. They wouldn't tell us, and that's always a bad sign. So we went up there, and wasn't good. Really wasn't good, and it was a long week. He basically, for 10 minutes, stopped breathing. So he was basically dead for 10 minutes, and when they brought him back, there just wasn't any brain activity. So it was a long week of that, and he passed on Sunday night. So obviously we didn't have a show the next day. I was trying to debate, like, do I want to keep my mind off of things or not? But
you just need that time just to kind of process and work through it. So Wednesday, here we are, and just kind of working through one day at a time. Yeah, it's for me, I haven't had a lot of people close to me in my life pass, so like I feel like the first time, not that it ever gets any better, but you're going through things that you've never dealt with before. And not having those pillars of emotional foundation of, okay, how do I process this? You're working through that live.
Right. And because I've never done it before,
And that's hard. Yeah. That's hard.
I had a friend that, I was pretty close to on tour who passed earlier this year, but I hadn't talked to him in a really long time, and I had a friend who passed while we were on tour, like collapsed at a show. But, being 43, am I 43? I just turned, well, that's the other thing. Somewhere in there I had a birthday. I just turned 43, and for 43 years, I did not have anybody that was like super close family that passed. And I've never, I have friends that are 17 years old, lost parents and things, So it's a long time. It's a long portion of your life to go without having that type of a grieving process. So it's something kind of new to me anyway. So, yeah, and my mom is taking care of my grandmother as well, who was a third parent for me. She grew up with me. She was in my house as a third parent, which is different than when you lose a grandparent that you didn't know as well. A lot of my family's been far away as well. So when that kind of thing has happened in the past, it's always been a relative that, I didn't really know that well, and I was a kid, and, that kind of a thing. So
I think just being able to like get it off your chest and share and talk about it, and just that helps that healing process. And I thought it was pretty cool. Like you and I were talking last night, we're playing Halo and stuff, where you even got to like play the drums for your dad, who's a big drummer and stuff. Like that was a really cool just moment. So I definitely am feeling for you. Definitely thinking about you. And I'm sure the entire MoGraph community is as well. So
I appreciate that. The drums thing. What's that? You didn't what?
Go ahead. I didn't realize you're 10 years older than me. I was just I also had a birthday recently, so I was like, oh, cool. I just turned 33, so
Yeah.
small world.
Yeah, I'm old. That's why I have less hair,
I'll catch up to you soon, I'm sure.
Which I haven't shaved. We were looking before the show, and, I got this back camera right here, in the studio, and I did not have this hat on. And before camp is the last time I shaved, and I was looking at this mess back here. Oh, my goodness. I need to shave.
I have committed
bad.
that when the front goes, I'm just going to shave it and grow my beard out. I'll be like a big burly motorcycle guy. Start wearing leathers. Get all my
Oh yeah, man.
sleeves
Be a bear.
tatted up. I'm going to
Yeah.
do it. Rock it.
Call you Bear Karsten.
I'll rock with that. I'll roll with it.
Um,
Well,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
we got some kind of exciting things in the works right now as far as like current stuff. If I understand
Yeah.
correctly, you guys are about to announce publicly Camp Mograph Australia.
Yeah, and it's
beyond
not
what you did at Camp
at
Mograph
camp, yeah.
Denver. Right.
I think a lot of people don't realize that yet. We need to make some announcements, but it's been pretty rough trying to get some of this stuff out. I feel like Mark is kind of like freaking out a little bit right now because we haven't been around. Matt's on vacation. I need to help Mark get some stuff knocked out, and so we can actually put out there, yes, we're going to Australia. And no, it's not the only camp next year, so don't worry about that. This is aimed at, and I think we talked about this a little bit with Casey, but this is aimed at people who are in Australia mostly. Doesn't mean you can't go if you want to spend the money to get that ticket to come over. But we will have a regular, American camp as well. So don't think that you're not going to get to go to camp because it's like too far away or too costly or whatever. But if you want to go, that would be great. Come see us out there if you live in Australia. Let's do this thing. We're going to make this happen. And don't have a lot of info on it yet. We are still, we do have tickets that will be going on sale in November. We do have the camp. All that kind of stuff is picked out, but we don't have like a theme, like the themes all made and artwork and all that other kind of stuff done yet. We're scrambling to get that going because we only have like a month, I think, until ticket sales, or a little more than that. But
Brisbane, Australia in June.
Yep, it's going to be in June. And so it's kind of cool. Like if you want to make it your summer vacation, you could. And I was thinking about it a little bit because if you're going to pay for the camp and you're going to pay for the flight, it's not that bad compared to maybe another vacation that you might be taking even here in the U.S. because some of these flights here have been so expensive lately. or if you're going something like Vancouver, I didn't go to Vancouver this year like I wanted to. For one, we didn't end up doing the show, but the DAT show in Vancouver, but I was going to go, and the tickets were outrageous.
Yeah.
Tickets are absolutely outrageous. I'm like, I cannot take my family there. It's going to cost me $7,000,
It's I don't know how to move past that either. I mean, I was considering going to Adobe Max. I really wanted to see, Amanda speak live, see Aaron speak live again, and just experience Adobe Max for the first time because I've never been. I thought it'd be a really, really cool opportunity. But by the time I'm looking at my budget and the cost and fuel and everything else, I'm like, no way. Even if I went and camped in Jags' backyard, like, there's no way.
And this is the first time that Adobe Max hasn't been at the same exact time as NAB East as well, and so it's like it would have been a good opportunity to go, but it just was not in the cards this year. And so
But what I'm excited about Camp Mograph Australia is I've been talking to a lot of my friends either like in New Zealand or in like Asia area, and the fact that people can actually attend a Camp Mograph, which is becoming worldwide known. So the fact that this small little 150 group of people that get together every year has a global impact is really cool. But now you guys can bring it to people that don't have to be on an airplane for 19, 20 hours.
Right.
So kudos to the Mograph team for doing that.
We'll still have to be on the plane for that long, but
yeah, it sucks to be you.
I think my daughter's gonna come, and now this is where it works out for me because we're gonna have our tickets covered, in the budget and things. Obviously, if we're gonna go there, but if all I have to do is get my daughter the plane ticket, it's going to end up being cheaper than a regular summer vacation for the whole family. So, you know.
And I don't know what your guys' plans are long term if you're doing an international one every year or not. And I don't want to get into that. But
Yeah. Well, we're not
she's
sure about
what,
that.
13, 14 years old?
She will be 14 soon.
14.
Yeah.
So, hitting up a foreign country other side of the world at 14 years old, that's a pretty cool life experience.
Roam if you want to. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, no, Camp MoGraph Australia, super exciting. Speaking of Adobe Max and tying into Camp MoGraph as well, I watched Amanda Russell's presentation last night.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of camp love in there. It was really
Nice.
cool to see her kind of tie it in and talk about how she dealt with anxiety and has been a victim of anxiety, for lack of a better word, for all of her career. And even like doing things like Camp MoGraph was scary, but those things helped springboard her to where she's at today, because she was like, the experiences she had through camp helped her feel and find her voice to present at Adobe Max and that kind of stuff. Had a really cool moment that I was like texting Casey Smith, because Amanda was talking about how that conversation from camp with her led to like the whole springboarding of like Moms of MoGraph and that kind of stuff. And so just seeing these camp connections come today, it's really, really cool.
You should explain Moms of MoGraph.
Yeah, absolutely. So Casey and Jenny Davis basically got together and they started a Moms of MoGraph community. I believe it's a Slack-based community, and it's for mothers in MoGraph, as it sounds like, to basically have a resource of being heard and being collaboration in a community, because motion design as an industry is a fairly niche market to work in. Of those, women that are working in motion graphics is of that subsection much smaller, and of that subgroup, mothers is even smaller. So having people that you can connect with and bounce ideas off of and just be like, hey, we have this thing, we don't know how to do it, am I feeling alone here? Having that resource and those people to connect with is really powerful. So Mothers of MoGraph, there's a sign up. I should look at what that is real quick here. MoGraph. Just at Mothers of MoGraph on Instagram, and there's a website somewhere. But yeah, if you're a mother, if you are in motion graphics or even just in a related field, definitely reach out. I am not. I am not. I do not work that hard.
I'm one big mother. Dances for Peas says Camp MoGraph UK ? Maybe someday. But I will say that we are bringing the DAT tour to UK, to London, and we are going to be putting out that info here pretty soon. It's something that I was starting to work on, but it's been a rough week, obviously. Next week, I have these tentative dates and the ones that we can advertise and stuff. I need to get the speakers and the panelists and everything lined up, but that will be happening in November. I could probably get the date, but I need to pull up my email and all that. And I didn't do any notes for today, so
because we're doing it live, we're winging it. It's fine.
That's right.
It's fine.
So we will have that information here pretty soon. I can tell you that we will also be in Miami, for sure. That's going to be the 6th of December, and that is at Miami-Dade College, I believe. I am going to double check that one real quick because I know where that email is.
In the meantime, I'll put the URL.
Miami-Dade.
Miami.
Wow. Yeah, I have. Oh my gosh, I have so much email that I need to look at that I haven't looked at all, y'all.
I mean, you've been kind of going at 100 miles an hour since September, like early September, middle of September. That's a month ago.
Let me see what I can find here.
So while you're pulling that up,
I need to answer all of these. God dang, this is bad. This is like people asking questions and things that I have not answered whatsoever.
And this is where we find the value of having a full-time producer that can really hone in and manage those timelines.
Where's my AI assistant?
To the producers of the world, we thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Miami-Dade, I can tell you that. I used to work at a place that did a bunch of advertising in Miami. It was Miami-Dade this, Miami-Dade that. Miami-Dade College, I was correct. That is going to be Wednesday, December 6th.
Nice.
And I will be at that one. Matt will not be attending. That's around his birthday. So there we go. There we go. I got 276 emails.
Good luck. Have fun. I recommend Control-Alt or Control-A and then delete. Just
delete them all. It's fine. Nothing can possibly be important.
Reach back out. It's fine.
They'll text me in an emergency.
So, of all the upcoming DAT tour locations, if there's one that you're like, you really need to go to this one, this is one to travel to, what would that be?
Well, I've been saying South Carolina. It is no longer in December, though. It is going to be the beginning of next year, first quarter. We haven't worked out the date yet. I'm glad that we decided to push it because we need a little more planning time for this. It's going to be a bigger thing. And if you know anything about what's located in South Carolina, you'll understand. So, you can put two and two together.
I find myself in an interesting situation because I have some of this insider knowledge, but I don't know what is public and what is not. So
interesting situation.
I'm sitting here going,
It's
how
fine.
Much can I
we'll
ask?
Let them connect the dots. They could do scavenger hunt at camp. They can figure this out.
Which, by the way, that was fantastically well done. What you did for the scavenger hunt.
Thanks.
Some of my favorite memories revolve around said scavenger hunt. Specifically, I'm thinking back to I don't remember who was all in the group, but I know one of the keywords was orange. And after Matt and I spent some time helping Jake and Anna, and there's a couple other people in the first group, find the first location and key. Chris says your mom is in South Carolina.
Somebody's mom is.
Somehow we were tied into being or Drysen was tied into being the person. You got to find Drysen to get the next clue.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't part of the scavenger hunt, but the code word was orange. And it just so happened that a group of people that were stuck, I walked over to go help them out. And there happened to be a giant orange on the ground. So, of course, I pick up orange. Oh. And you could connect the dots how much fun I had with that.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Fake clues, distractions. Maybe we need to do that next year. Like
more red herrings?
Yeah. Red herrings.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like fish.
I do not.
Not really.
I am the world's worst fisherman. True story. The worst.
So you've had some Frame 1 episodes lately that have come out.
One episode a month.
Frame 1 show.
Show.com.
We've been revamping our website. And although you probably can't tell, it has been revamped. The back end isn't released yet, which we've been talking about for freaking ever. But the front page that has been redone now is ready to go, and I need to put the Frame 1 stuff up. And do a little bit of, put the podcast info up and all of that.
Yeah, would love that. So right now, if anybody wants to watch it, all the episodes are free. They're on YouTube. We have the audio version that goes to, we host it through Buzzsprout, so it lives on like Apple Podcasts, Google Music, Spotify. Basically, if you have a place
all
the
things.
All the things, all the places.
All the things.
The last episode that was released was with Austin Saylor, and I have to admit that was a super fun conversation. Really documenting his journey of going from zero to making $200,000 in a year and doing it twice, not just once. Shared a lot of insight and tips and that kind of stuff. So you can see here we have our famous Nick Donlin as part of our team. A huge shout out to him because without his cinematography skills, the show would not look good. Really, the reason the show looks good is because he's there and helping out. In fact, this little edit at the bottom you see in the video file was all Nick's editing skills. I am not that patient nor ready. And I also got to give mad shout outs to my business partner Courtney for all the branding and that kind of stuff because I'm not a designer. I cannot make things look good. I'll make a move, but I can't make things look good. I tried. So
just takes time. Just takes time.
Takes time. At this point, we have our next two interviews for the rest of the year. So November and December are recorded. They're in process of being edited right now. And so we're trying to line up a schedule for 2024 to see where are we going to travel to? Who are we going to film? Who do we want to see? So if you have an idea of someone you want to hear from, kind of the criteria is we're looking for some leaders within the creative industry. Does not have to be motion, just creative in general. I think episode 2 is a photographer that I really respect and admire. Just to kind of hear, hey, how did you find your success? Were you scared when you started? Were you nervous? Did you feel confident? And what steps did you take through the years to kind of get to where you are today? So if you have someone in mind that you want to hear that story and that journey from, you think it'd be a great episode for Frame One, shoot me an email, and I'd love to put them on the list.
Cool. Do you see my light blinking?
I do not.
What's on this side?
Mm-mm.
My light is blinking. My key light is blinking. Hold on.
No, it looks good from here.
See if that fixed it. I think it did. That was weird.
Huh.
Anyway, I think Barton would be a good one. Barton would be a good one. Yeah.
I would love to make a second trip to Texas.
I think we need to figure that out.
All right.
Maybe I don't know. Whatever works for you. I mean, we could really time it where you could bring me another third of a cow. So
done. Sold.
Yeah, we need to figure
I will
that
make
out.
a trip specifically for that.
What's slaughtering season?
Year round.
Oh, okay.
You let me know.
Well, then
You let me know.
anytime. Oh, I'm sorry, vegans.
Yes. That was fun. That was kind of a sub reason of why I came down to Texas was to bring you some food. And that was an epic backyard Texas barbecue. I will say you are one of my favorite cooks that I know.
Ooh, thank you.
Straight up. Yeah.
I am looking forward to eating some chili with some of that ground beef. Julie's got it defrosting right now.
There you go. I don't know, man. I don't think you can top the grilled cheese sandwiches at Camp Mograph this year. Flame grilled.
I think I probably said this already, but it's just an example of putting a constraint in, to make something. Like putting in a constraint when you're doing Cinema 4D or something like that, like a challenge or something, right? So the constraint was you don't have a flat top to cook these on. But it turned out being amazing because you just dip them in butter and you let them
Sizzle.
Burger King it.
Basically. You can have it your way.
You have it your way. BK. Gosh, that's in commercials.
Oh.
While all the madness was going on and we were at camp, a new Cinema 4D came out. And I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet. Have you?
I have not. The last time I upgraded Cinema 4D, it seemed like all my menu buttons disappeared, and I'm not in there enough that I've justified the pain points.
Your menu buttons? Are you talking about your custom?
Yeah, like certain, you have the Grace of the Gorilla, you get upset the preferences there, like your render views disappear, or just like
you gotta save your layouts, dog.
See, I play in Cinema 4D, but I'm not a worker of Cinema 4D, so
yeah, you gotta save them layouts. You gotta reload all your plugins. I do wish that it would do auto migration.
That would be nice.
It's one thing like to have the yearly updates, but now with like these regular updates, I kind of wish there was something like that.
One thing I really like about the MoGraph community is the fact that it seems that a lot of people that follow you and Matt are very much so power users of the software.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I ever have a question, I'm like, all right, I know I can get an answer. I can pop in and ask you guys and be like, yo, dude, that's basic. We got you. Here's 30 seconds and you're done and you're ready to rock. I would be interested in seeing some like entry level stuff kind of dribbling out along. So just kind of, I don't know what that would be. I could find my pain points and share them along. But just, little idea nugget for you guys to play with, just in case you're looking for a little more content.
There's some great that's the thing, like they just make it easier and easier to use. The speed is something that I want to check out for myself because that's been my biggest complaint, honestly. The speed in the viewport. When you have a heavy scene, just doesn't handle it well. And you open up Houdini, and I know they're made differently, but you open up Houdini and it's just like, oh, okay, 20 million polys, no problem. Just butter smooth. And that's one of the things that's supposed to be a lot better, a lot faster. One of the ways you can check is there actually is an FPS count that you can bring up. If you just shift C and do the FPS thing, you can see how fast the scene is going. So I'm going to put it, that's basically what Chris and Noseman did when it first came out. Did a little test and just one scene, open it here, look at the difference. Huge difference. I think a scene going 6 frames a second in the viewport went up to 30. And I don't know what voodoo they're doing in the background, but I would like to try it myself and see what it does with some of my heaviest problem scenes that I know that I've had in the past. So let's see what it says. Delivers unmatched speed and performance. Okay, well, we'll put an asterisk next to the speed, but we'll see. We'll see.
To be determined.
I got to be truthful about that. That's my biggest thing. I am very much like I very much get irritated when something interrupts my creative flow, and I feel like that's something that companies need to concentrate on, because I'm not just talking about crashes, right? Like crashes are one thing. I get enough crashes because I use a lot of things together, right? Anytime you use a bunch of plugins mixed with a thing, and then it has another thing, and then a plugin, there's more potential. Like you're expanding your potential for crashes, right?
You have more points of failure, potential points of failure. Yep.
And you're going to have crashes. I get it, right? Like I'm loading up Octane with like a ridiculous amount of geo, and I'm putting in smoke, and I'm asking it to do all this stuff and render over the network, and it's just, sometimes it just freaks out, right?
Right.
And sometimes it's Octane, sometimes it's Cinema doesn't know how to do something, and they don't talk to each other. Whatever it is, like those kind of things happen, but it interrupts your workflow, right? So what could make that better besides never crashing? Because that's never going to happen, right? We're just going to assume we're never going to have a crashless society.
I have noticed the one productivity hack that I've had for not being pulled out of my zone while working is locking my bedroom door, my office door, so my kids can't come running in at 3, 4, 5 times an hour.
Well, that's a good one.
But that doesn't help.
Get rid of the Cinema 4D. Yeah, but with Cinema 4D, okay, speed is one thing, so hopefully that's taken care of. We're going to try that out and see, right? Some other things that I would like to see personally, I would like to see, like Octane used to take a long time to load up a scene, right, before it would render. That was the thing. It had to calculate, do this weird calculate with each frame and all this stuff. That's gone. That saves a lot of time now, right? With Cinema, one of the things I noticed in the latest version is it takes a lot longer to load, right? Which it's like, well, that's not that big of a deal. It only takes 30 seconds to load. Okay. On my brand new computer, it takes 30 seconds to load, but what happens when I have a bunch of crashes in a day? Maybe if it's not even Cinema 4D's fault, whatever it is, I'm pushing it to the limits, I understand.
But that time adds up.
Right.
And so when you're sitting there spinning your wheels for 30 seconds, not only is it frustrating, but like you get physically, your emotional state shifts too, because now you're like, I was in the zone, I was going, and now I'm sitting here waiting.
When's the last time I saved?
Wait.
It's like, I just want to know, and okay, it's open, you know.
Here's a question I have. So I was working on a personal project in Cinema, again, pushing my boundaries of what I can do, and the file corrupted. Just crashed, closed, and I cannot open it. Tried re-importing it, tried opening from different project files, and it's gone.
Yeah,
I'm curious, how frequently have you experienced that happening?
It's not often, and it's not a problem, because I work directly off of Dropbox. So when a file gets corrupt that I've saved, even if I have saved over it, I can right-click, choose history, go back and bring it back to the point where it was working, because you can restore. Like
this episode
versions.
Brought to you by Dropbox for Business.
Yeah, I love to hate Dropbox, but I tell you, man, that's one of my biggest things. Or I've done this before too, and you have to do this the right way. Like if you write over a file, sometimes it's like, okay, it thinks it's a new file. Or, right, or let me rephrase that. Let's say you have version 01, version 02, version 03, okay? Let's say, how do I put this? Let's say that version 2 you had something working, right? And then version, I'm going to go back even more, sorry. let's say you deleted version 2, you made a new version 2, and you put it in the same folder. It doesn't see that as the same file anymore, okay?
Right,
if you
different file names.
Right,
pass.
but no, even if it's the same file name, but you deleted it first, you made a new file with the same name. It's not the same file. It's not hashed the same. It doesn't know, hey, this name of this file is the same as a file that you deleted a long time ago, right?
Okay.
If you're overwriting a file constantly, it knows, right? So here's what you do. Let's say you were in version 2 and you had something working correctly, okay? Then you saved version 2 and something was unknowingly not working right. And then you go to version 3 and then you continue in version 4 and you're going up and you're like, man, that was working like 4 versions ago. And then you find, oh, well, between 1 and 2, somewhere in there, something stopped working. So you go in, you go to the version of that file where it was working. You save, you bring that in, you save that as a new file, and then you go back and restore the original because you never know if you're going to need to go back to that file. So then you have this new version of the file. So again, that's another Dropbox thing where you can find like these weird middle steps where it's like, God, I spent an hour working on that. I finally got it right. But version 1 is before I did it.
Yep.
And version 1 is before I did it. Version 2 is after I messed up what I figured out in the first place. You know, so rather than redoing it, you have that backup to go to. It's a long explanation to explain that.
I think the moral of the story here is work in versions because that's a smart way to work.
Constantly. Anytime I do something major, like mix all this stuff down to Geo or run the giant simulation and make a big change or whatever, I'm constantly doing version saves. And then I do a Z_archive folder in that Cinema 4D directory where I dump those extra files when I'm done with them and I unsync them from Dropbox. So there's just always an archive, you know. So.
That's an awesome productivity hack. Typically, I work with daily files, so you know, V1 is day 1, V2 is day 2, V3, so on and so forth, until you get client feedback and revision, and then that becomes another version number. But
see, I don't
then
use
you
the
lose
dates.
8 hours of work.
Well, yeah, but I don't use the date stuff because you can get a date from the modified or creation date of a file. So I never work with dates because it really doesn't matter to me. It's like whatever the latest number is, that's the latest version, right? It's never going to really change. Now, I can understand if you wanted to mark certain milestones for sure. You know, like this is client version 1 or whatever. But I just never find myself going back to anything like that unless it's a case like I was just talking about. Like, oh, and then I can just open the files and find what I'm looking for. You know,
it'd be kind of fun. It'd be kind of fun to compare and contrast different studios' file structures and file structure formats. Mm-hmm. Just saying, hey, what do you do?
God,
what do I do?
It's so boring, but so interesting.
Really?
All at the same time.
That's how you know when we're niche in the industry. Like, hey, how's your file structure set up?
And I got a really simple file structure now, and I have been using it for years. So
I used to be very simple, and then I got really anal at my last full-time job because I developed it for that, and it was developed for a 52-episode TV show we were working on. And so you had footage that you're grabbing throughout the year. You had to like make sure it's placed in the right spot, and just became very anal with not losing everything.
That's a little more complicated too. I think there's a lot more moving pieces and parts to that. You know,
I think in total, we ended up with 150 terabytes of footage by the end of the project.
Nice.
So it was a minute to think about everything.
Man. Yes, and some other things that make things faster are things like how fast does it save? I feel like the last version, 2023, was saving slower than before. And maybe it's saving more information in there. I don't know. There's little things like that where it's like, okay, you're trying to go fast. You hit save, you're ready to do the next thing, and then you're sitting there waiting for the cursor. And I'm on a pretty spanking fast computer. Now, I'm not calling out Maxon specifically because this applies to
everyone. I see with Adobe a lot
everyone.
too. Trying to save an Illustrator file or Photoshop file, and it'll sit there and spin and spin and spin. I'm just like, all right, I got to get back to work.
Oh, EJ, look at this. I'm sorry. I'm going to call out EJ right now. I'm going to call out EJ. This is what's new in Cinema 4D, and this is a gorgeous freaking render. But Put some more segments in that sphere, dog. Put some more segments in that sphere. Now let's watch
more
this.
segments, the slower it renders.
I'm gonna mute this. Here we go. This is old Rick telling us what's new.
Thanks, Chris. Chris says he's been enjoying the Frame One podcast, and it makes me feel very special inside. It really does.
And I'm sorry I haven't been on Discord lately, y'all. I will be back around Discord pretty soon. Man, so much like this is gorgeous. I love all of this. And real-time viewport recording. Okay. That
would be nice for
that's interesting.
animatics and Play Blast for clients.
I haven't this is the thing. I haven't even had a chance to look at this stuff yet. Rigid body simulations now interact with existing forces, pyro fabrics, and soft bodies. Pyro now offers more precise controls to ArtDirect. By adding the pyro tag to standard particle emitters, thinking particle geometries and matrix cloners can now emit pyro. That's very interesting. I also saw they've got the stickiness on
Here's a
MoGraph stuffs.
I want you to educate me real quick here. What are the limits of Cinema's built-in particles versus something like Xcidium or X particles in Xcidium?
It's no contest. The thing is, it's not that the particle system is bad in. Let me switch back to this to our 2-box here. It's not that the particle system is bad in Cinema 4D. It's really great for doing a lot of very easy things. It's just that there are no advanced tools like you have in X Particles. X Particles is so dang advanced with it, and it makes me wonder, honestly, like where they're going with what they're doing, because all of this stuff is based on particles and things in the first place, right? Like pyro and all that stuff.
Right.
It makes me wonder if there's kind of a plan for that.
Let's get our framework figured out, and then we'll build upon it. That makes sense.
The thing is, if you want to do a bunch of balls or cubes or shapes, like just shooting through the air and stuff, emitting, just put a regular emitter on there. Don't use X particles for that. But there's just not the drill down that you get with X particles, right? It's not the same. Chris said the 2024 viewport performance boost is all I ever wanted. Great update for me. Okay. That's a very good sign. I know Chris is doing a lot of heavy stuff. He's bringing all them CAD drawings in and all of that stuff. Man, CAD just kills it. And I don't really understand how it works processing wise, but when you bring in a CAD drawing, if you've done it before, you know that it's a pain.
Yeah.
You know that each polygon is going to come in as an object, and it's just going to suck. And it's going to be slow. And something weird about you take all of those polys and you combine them into one, and then all of a sudden it's fast. And I don't understand. I never understood how that works in the background. I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation, but
optimizing the CAD stuff for Cinema 4D is such a out there thing. I've only dealt with it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Just enough to kind of find my way through it. But trying to clean up a mesh, because the one specific project that I was working with,
clean up your mesh.
It was all wireframe stuff. So not only do you have all that geo, but you've got all the other stuff you don't want shining through.
Right.
And cleaning that up was just
And sometimes, here's another thing that I would love. I have all these ideas, and it's like, why don't they just do this? There's such a process to do any of these things at Maxon. I understand, but I just have ideas, and I got to spit them out. Have you ever gotten a model that was probably not made in Cinema 4D? It's either like an FBX or again some CAD stuff that you mix down, right? Well, it does go in and it puts all the a lot of times it puts the material tags next to it, right?
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I could figure out the pieces of this if I could only grab the tags that go with each one of these materials correctly, right? It's like, okay, this whole section over here is blue, and that's because I have a blue material here. But now there's 500 textures on this one object, this one mixed down piece of geometry, and I do not know which one of these blue textures that are in here goes with that piece of geometry, unless I click on every individual selection tag
Yep.
in the face edit mode, polygon edit mode, and see if it selects the right thing. I wish I could click on a polygon and say select that tag. Is that possible? Can I say give me the selection tag that is associated with this polygon? It finds it, and you say select, and then there it is. Because like usually with
grabbing the parent, basically.
Yeah, because with CAD and with all of that kind of stuff, right? It groups them together, the pieces together usually, and I'm sure Chris can like chime in on this. It groups those things together. Okay, yeah. So like let's say you had a steam shovel.
Yep. Go ahead.
Model, right? And like all of the metal components had different metal textures on them, and you're like, this piece right here I need to turn blue, and you click on it, but then you need to select that geo. But there's no good. You try the fill selection, and that works 80% of the time, but then sometimes it doesn't. You're like, I just want to select these that are associated with this tag without having to go find it, without having to click on all these individual tags and say select. Nope, that's not it. Select, that's not it.
Even just being able to break up geometry more efficiently. For example, I was working on a tractor scene like last 2 weeks ago, and all the tires were grouped as one object. So I could rotate the tires as an entire axis, wherever my hand's at here. But I couldn't rotate the tires like they were driving because it was all pre-grouped as one object.
Right.
When it came in.
Right.
And it's make it easy to separate that.
Right. So you have to get those tires. Then you have to select the individual pieces of geometry. You have to duplicate them.
One for each one.
Each one. Then select the inverse, hit delete.
Yep.
You know. There's also kind of another way you can do it, but it's where you select them and then you say separate. There's a command for it, but still it gets confusing because you separate it, but then the original still has that piece, and then you have to go delete it anyway. So I don't even use that command. But then you have to take those and you have to go to point mode and you have to do axis center, and you have to like redo all of that. Those types of things for me are things that interrupt my workflow, that interrupt the creative process, because I'm doing these tedious tasks, you know, and obviously Maxon can't think of everything. No, nobody's going to be able to think about that. But sometimes I get into these regular workflows where I'm like, I should write this down. Right. And I should tell them the problem I'm having and see if there are enough people that maybe have this problem that maybe there's a good solution for it.
Honestly, these are the kinds of things that I really feel AI would be best suited to work towards.
I was going to say that. Imagine if AI could just take a look at that one piece of geo and the selection tags real quick and go and just done. I've separated these pieces for you.
Yep. Like take the tedious things that I don't want to spend hours fixing and prepping to animate, and just automatically set them up. Right. Recently, actually, Austin was the first Frame 1 episode that we started using a service called Opus. And basically what Opus does is it takes your long-form YouTube URL, you pop it in there, and it automatically grabs different sound bites based on a keyword. So I can put in branding. And any point in our conversation, it'll automatically transcribe, go through and try to find anything that we talked about branding, cut out those either 30 or 60 or 3-minute sound bites, and then auto-generate everything. And I can do an entire month's worth of work in about an hour and a half, which is awesome. Yeah. Because in August, I went through and did the episode of Aaron Sorofsky. I believe Your Guys' was involved in that, and then another one where we went through and manually cut out each of those micro pieces of content. And it took 20 hours. And now I can do it in 20 minutes. That's the kind of stuff I want to see.
I'm looking at what Chris wrote here.
Autodesk, Adobe, Microsoft, Google for conversion development. An odd comment that no one believes, but is the basic truth.
Yeah, because there's converter programs, and even those some of them are quite massive and expensive. But again, it's something I think AI could do, and I've been looking at AI for all sorts of stuff, and I am trying to figure out how to build an AI box that I think this is something I talked about already, but an AI box that's like the Amazon or Google Dingus, but it's constantly listening to me, not sending it all to the internet, just something I could like literally build myself, maybe with one of the new Raspberry Pi 5s. Those things are freaking fast. They can actually do well. I don't even know if you can buy one yet, but man, they do 4K. They have all this extra processing. Yeah, I think you can do an external graphics card. I'm like, man, you could build a box like that would just listen to everything you say and give suggestions or whatever it is. Imagine if the thing was listening to you all day and it just kind of started putting stuff on your calendar for you.
I noticed you started swearing today.
Yeah.
I ordered beer.
Yeah. I ordered you these gummies from Denver.
Magical. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a good idea.
This morning, I saw, if I can find my saved thingies, I saw that the new stable version of Octane 2023.1 is out. And I am going to go to my saved stories to read you the features. We are going to get back on, again, this is the fall kind of regroup, right? So we're going to get back on the episode train. We're going to probably, most likely will be me and Matt next week only, but start getting guests again. We need to do that Halloween episode here pretty soon.
Whoop, whoop.
And when is Halloween this year? Is it on a Wednesday?
I think it's on a Friday, actually, or Sunday. I'll look at my calendar.
I thought it was on a Tuesday. It is on...
there, I'm back.
Oh, I'm on 2024. What's the deal there?
It's on a Tuesday. I had to look it up.
It is on a Tuesday. All right. Yeah, we'll probably do the day before that then. We'll probably do the 30th Halloween episode. I got to call EJ and Ariev and get that going again.
Oh, man. I gotta think of a new costume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then we are going to probably get Jules on again. That's what I was getting at there, is that usually around Thanksgiving, we usually have Jules on every year to talk about some of the new things coming up. And I'm, again, just like the announcement with Maxon, I haven't had time to really dig into a lot of this stuff. Some of this I heard it was coming before, and I didn't really get a chance to read about it. I feel like there was like one, I don't know, like NVIDIA talk that Jules did this year that I somehow missed, with everything going on. So, Octane 2023.1 stable. Pretty sure this is not available for cinema yet, but let's see here. So they have these things called analytic lights that are coming, and they're like light primitives. It says they offer a fast approximation of direct light from a large direct source. So a disc light, quad light, which they had before, sphere light, a tube. The sphere light technically existed before because you could do that in cinema. The tube light, directional light. The directional light is what's interesting, right? Because there's never been a directional light other than the sun in Octane. That's fully directional. And sometimes you want to emulate the sun, and so you end up taking a disc and putting it really far away and making it really bright but really small, so you create those harsh shadows. But it's not a true directional light. So there's also certain lights you'll only be able to use a certain amount of them to do certain things. Fast interactive direct lighting. One of the things I saw is they've got a whole new AOV thing, which is awesome, which I barely know anything about. But the fast post media rendering is very interesting. It says we've added a post-processing pass to add fog. Now, one of the big things that I hear, people who are making this decision about, do I do Redshift, do I do Octane, which one? I hear a lot of people that go back and forth between engines. Some people pick one, whatever. Some people's like, like me, I've been in Octane the whole time, right? Matt's gone back and forth. People like Barton have gone over to Redshift. And a lot of the people talk about workflow, and the biggest thing is fog. It's great, except I need to add fog to my scenes. you know? And it's like, but it's noisy. Everybody knows Octane fog is noisy. And the reason is because it is bias rendering. There's like not a physically accurate way to do it without it being noisy, I believe, the way that they do it. So this is kind of like their fake fog. You know, this is kind of like what we used to do when we had already been, well, I worked for a short time, had already been chewed as a contractor. And at the time when they were still on Octane, that was the trick, is you take the scene that you're working on to get the fog, you bring it into Redshift, you do a fog only render, and then you use that as a layer that goes back on top of your Octane render.
Got it.
But it seems like that's what they're doing. They're doing a fast fog that you can bring back in, which is awesome.
That's really cool. I'm not an Octane user. I really like their network rendering. You've told me about it a couple times, but I stick with Redshift just because it's included in my Max on One subscription. That's it. But that sounds like a really cool way that they found that, hey, we have this limitation of our software. We need to fix it. Here's a creative, clever hack to make it work. And build it in natively. Like
beams of light, God rays, all that stuff. If you want to just add some of that, they added chromatic aberration in post, which is really cool. I love doing things in camera. A lot of times, and people think I'm crazy, I just rendered a PNG, flat PNG beauty pass, done. Right?
That's how I like to work.
That's how I do a lot of things, because it doesn't have to go beyond YouTube or something. You know what I mean? And it's... so I do a lot when it comes to the lenses I'm using, the aperture, how many sided blade, how many blades, things like that, right? But this takes it to the next level, adds the chromatic aberration, which is awesome. I do a lot of distortion purposely too. I crank my distortion. Distortion. And
just hit my knee on my desk.
First person in the world to get injured sitting on a podcast. So yeah, chromatic aberration and also lens flare in post. Now I don't know if it's just one flare, but man, lens flare in post is pretty dope, because I'm tired of having to go in and go to After Effects and set like a 3D point and try and bring in like lens flares, and you've also got to do a mask, so it like this is just in camera. It could be good and bad, but
I lens flare, I that's kind of where I draw my line. I'm like, I want to go do that in optical flares with After Effects, because
depends.
I always get very anal about the kind of details that I'm playing with there, and I want to have more control. That, hey, I don't like this being purple. It's got to be a little more green, or a little more octagonal shaped, or those kind of things. So I like having those fine detail control without having to re-render everything. Because again, I'm only rocking 13090 Ti. I don't have the full network you guys have to.
You need that brigade.
I need lots of things, but those cost money, and Drysen is a broke boy.
That's something else that I wanted to ask Jules about, because I do know that they pushed brigade. It was supposed to be in a release, and they pushed it because they were working on something and they want it to be right, which I understand. You don't want to release it broken, but I would like to ask him about that. And a blur effect in post, that's interesting. I don't really understand what you would use that for.
It's like depth of field?
Not depth of field, but like a full blur. Almost like an AOV type, or like a filter. Animation time transformations. This sounds interesting. I have no idea what you would use this for. Animation time transforms, which can be used by plugins as well. In standalone, this can be useful when you need to bring two or more animated files together and offset the animation times or scale them.
So is it like posterizing time, basically?
Yes. It gives you, and I'll try and bring this up here. I can do this so we could follow along here. You've got delay and speed up. I don't really understand. I don't understand the lingo there. Set custom animation start and end. I feel like this is something you probably more use in standalone. Kind of like clipping material. I don't use a lot of clipping material, but when I do, it's a lifesaver. So maybe this would be great in a pinch, Clipping is really great for doing some sort of like wipe on of something that's very complicated that you just couldn't bool, right? Like imagine you had like a 2 million polygon building, which I've done before, and you've got to like make it grow on, you know?
Yeah,
And the easiest thing to do is just like sweep a box over it and bull the whole thing, but then it gets hairy, right? If you use a clipping material and put it on the box in Octane, it's butter. It just cuts right through it because it's doing it on the render level. It's not doing it as like geometry. It's not recalculating geometry. So there's things like that that can really, really help you in a pinch.
These are the things I want to go try doing now.
I
will learn.
I'm also interested. I haven't gone through all of this if they've added the ability to stream geometry off the hard drive now, which is going to greatly improve performance. You know, it's like out of core geometry,
no idea what you just said.
Or out of core. How would you
dumb this down for me? Talk to me in Drysen speak.
It doesn't have to live on the VRAM.
Okay.
It doesn't all have to live on the VRAM anymore. So imagine you could put a 500 billion polygon model or something on your hard drive and stream that geometry instead of having to load that geometry into your VRAM.
It sounds like a lot.
That's how it's been explained.
Anti-crash friendly.
It does. And that's kind of my deal too. You know, that might really help with things like viewport, for example. You know, the way that you can stream Orbix files and other things into your scene and not have it bog down the viewport. There's just a lot of things like that. Again, it's going to help the creative process and not frustrate you because you crashed because you used too much VRAM, right?
I like that.
Creative flow. Just all about creative flow. What is the best way to continue on that state, right? You get into your hyperfocus, right? And you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop. You don't want to be like, you know, something. Have you ever been to the point where you're working on a project, you don't hate it, you're not super into it, but you don't hate it, and you're just working, you're just doing work, right? It's getting a little late, and you're like, I could probably do this another hour, right? And then all of a sudden something crashes hard, and then you realize maybe you didn't save or something's frustrating, and you're like, I'm done.
Yep.
I am done
100%.
For the day. Just anything that helps not break that flow.
I had a personal project again because I've been playing in 3D for like a year, but I've never been a true power user. I feel like some of the stuff I've created it's all right, not bad. There was a personal project I was working on about a month ago that is like the best thing I've ever worked on. It was beautiful, and like we talked about earlier, it crashed, corrupted. And I just said, you know what? I saw it, and that's all that matters. I don't care about anybody else.
There are ways to recover it. Like,
are there?
There are ways. I think there's a command line thing you can do to try and recover it. I mean, if you still have the files, talk to someone at Maxon. It might be recoverable.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Alexander asks, do you guys have an opinion on the relevance of real-time rendering in the near future? I think it's inevitable, but I'm not sure how urgent it is to learn. Will pre-rendering ever phase out?
That's a good question. I don't think pre-rendering will ever completely phase out because waiting for something to bake on whatever card you got, let's say 4090, the best card right now, right? Waiting for something to bake out to be extra pretty will never be the same as looking at something in real time, right? It doesn't matter how fast the real time gets and how great the real time looks. Letting it bake even longer can always accomplish more calculations and therefore a better looking picture. The question is, at some point on that exponential curve, like when does it even matter anymore, right? So real time and rendering can both make something that the human eye can't even distinguish as different. Technically, if you blew them apart, maybe one had like a million more bounces of light or something, but you're never going to notice. And the other thing is that with the real time coming up, we haven't talked about the fact that Unreal is charging now if you're not doing game development, if you're doing video stuff. I don't think it's that expensive, but it's something that the other one,
Blender?
no, the other game software that has escaped my head that everybody freaking knows that I'm just blanking on.
I'm sure as soon as you say it, I'll follow along and go, oh yeah, I knew that the whole time.
Yeah. Unity. Good Lord.
Yes.
So Unity started charging like this as well just a few weeks prior. And it kind of makes me wonder, thank you, Alexander. It makes me wonder, I just feel like those people knew. I feel like they both knew that they were both going to do that. They both made this announcement, right? I don't feel like Unity said we're going to do pay and then Unreal is like, oh, we're going to do that too. I think they both decided to do it, or maybe even collaborated on this. Say both of our platforms are going to do this. But
yeah, because you would imagine if Unity goes first and says they're going to a pay-based model, then Unreal, assuming they wanted to be free, was like, cool, we just captured a lot of their market. But the fact that they also jumped within a few weeks of each other, yeah, I think you're onto something there.
And I still don't really have a specific reason to go to Unreal. Been talking to Matt. He's been up at Already Been Chewed working on stuff, and they did some dabbling in Unreal Engine, and they did some great looking stuff in there. But I don't think they're staying with that. I don't think they are. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that by the time you convert all this stuff and model all this stuff over here and then get all the different pieces and like you're just it takes so much time that you might as well have just render it and instead of trying to do real time, because like the difference in time isn't really that bad anymore.
I think that depends on the project you're working on too. If you are in a situation where things are very locked down, you know shot for shot exactly what you need to create, let it render, let it bake. But if you need to be exploring the edit and exploring shot by shot and composition, having that real time, just move the camera around. Oh, there's a cool reflection here. We can move it this way. That's really powerful for Unreal.
That's true, but you can do that in your pre-render. You can do that in your viewport in Octane in real time. It just has to bake later. But then Brigade comes into the scene. And Brigade is the real-time version of that. So for me, it's like if this, and again, Redshift RT, I haven't heard anything about that in a while, but Redshift RT, the same thing. So if you like your DCC and you don't have a reason to move to Unreal and learn about shader compiling and have all, it sucks. It sucks to install Unreal. It sucks to try and pick it back up again. Every time you pick it back up, you got to reinstall a bunch of stuff. I have errors. I have crashes. It's not intuitive the way that I feel it would be intuitive, and it works for a lot of people, and that's great. But if you're somebody who's in the position where you're like, I know how to animate, I have this program that I know inside and out, are you really going to move over to Unreal just so that you can get real time that doesn't look quite as good?
I think that depends on the skill set you're trying to market, and as things become more and more prevalent in the industry. If enough studios start saying, yes, we want to do more Unreal work for whatever reason, maybe they like how it works with showing their clients things, how they can just bounce around. I don't have an answer here.
I think it's a buzzword. I really do. I really feel like some studios are like, oh, we're missing the boat. We got to get on this because Baby Yoda. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, they're doing it. It's like, yeah, but does that mean you need to be doing it? Like,
I think at the end of the day, you pick your clients, you look at what your client needs, and you serve them those skills. So if you've got a client that specifically, for whatever reason, works in Unreal, learn it, do it, so you can be useful for them. But if your clients work in Cinema 24/7, keep in Cinema.
Yeah, it depends on if you're actually like creating art and delivering it as the deliverable to a client, or if you're doing project work for another company.
Yep.
Because, yeah, of course, you're looking for work. If all the jobs are in Unreal, you're going to go toward that. But if you're establishing a business where you're like, no, I'm the expert, I'm going to make it look really good because I'm the expert in this and I'm making you look good, you get to use whatever you want.
I agree. I think that just becomes really being comfortable with knowing what your business is, who you serve, and then using those skills for executing whatever that is.
Like already been chewed. They get to use whatever they want. Nike doesn't
True.
say, I need you to use Unreal Engine for this. They say this is the best thing. And I don't think they did anything for Nike and Unreal. But still.
But as a freelancer, I need to know what already been using, so I build my skill set for them.
Is it, do you need to know Octane? Do you need to know Redshift? Do you need to know Cinema? Do you need to know Blender? Do you need to know Unreal? Do you need to know Unity? Do you also need to know how to do character stuff? Then you're back to this whole thing. So it's like, do you want to be... It's great if you can be a master of all.
I don't think you really can. I mean, you can dabble in a lot of things.
Right.
But as soon as you start diverting your energy to a lot of different areas, you no longer have the penetrative force to like really hone in and really know the thing and be good at it. So I really think it's important to sit down, identify what you want to do, who you want to work with, and then build your skills around that.
And it's all concepts. You go to
100%.
You go to Blender, you go to Unreal, it's all the same concept. You're moving a thing left to right. You're moving it back and forth on Z. You're scaling it. You are rotating it. You are setting coordinates. But it's about how fast can you do that. And if your workflow is so great in a program that it's like second nature and you could do it in your sleep and real time is coming, why would you ever decide to just completely move to another program if that's the whole point? It's the creative flow. It interrupts my creative flow to sit there and learn Unreal, to learn how to do like some MoGraphy stuff that I could have done in 2 seconds. It's just not worth it for me.
Maybe we are more blessed than we think that the 30 seconds of saving or opening is our bottleneck right now.
Right. Yeah. But again, it's about what you want your skills to be. It's about what type of person you want to be. Me personally, I'm of the persuasion where I'm going to be the expert in this, and you're going to call me up, and I'm going to say, this is what you need. And if a client comes to me and they say it doesn't look right, or they want something changed, or they want it to look very specific like this, it is easier for me to do that with software I know than software I'm not familiar with,
100%.
Obviously, right? So if I get to make those design decisions, and I can make the prettiest picture possible in a short amount of time, of course I'm going to do that.
Now contrast that with where I'm at is I hope within the next 5 years I'm no longer on the box. I am working with the clients, I'm lining up the creative, and then I rely 100% on either in-house staff or freelancers to execute all of our creative. And knowing that if we need to have something on archive, so in 5 years later a client comes back and has a revision, I have something in-house that we can tap in and work on and make a change, because people's lives change. Just because you're freelancing today doesn't mean you're not going to be in-house somewhere in 5 years. I want to make sure that my studio has the flexibility to address said changes that our client might have down the road. So we're a cinema house because that's what I know right now, what I'm comfortable with. I don't foresee that changing just because that's just where we're at.
And the thing too is, if you want to be that person, you need to know the essentials. You need to know the basics. You need to know the up, down, left, right, axes, coordinates, all of the stuff that is the same in every piece of software. You don't have to learn Unreal if you're going to just hire somebody to do the 1 or 2 Unreal jobs that you get throughout the year. You know enough to still art direct and say, hey, that doesn't look right? You know enough to say that needs some different lighting, or that needs to ease in and ease out, or whatever it is. You can direct that. So then again, it comes back to the question, do you need to learn that? Like, do you need to, or can you just art direct somebody else and be that person? Let the people who want to learn those skills. I'm not dissing on Unreal, right? There's some amazing Unreal people, and some people are look at Jags, fully dedicated to this Unreal thing. That's his jam, right? So I'm not going to learn Unreal if somebody comes and says, hey, I need this thing built in Unreal. I'm just going to call Jags. Because
Absolutely.
Why go through that for myself?
Absolutely.
Why kill myself?
Another marketable skill that we can all be niche in.
Right.
You don't hire a 2D person to do a 3D job, so why hire a cinema person to do an Unreal job?
Call your friend. If you don't
share the love, spend the money.
Exactly. And as I've learned, especially, or has been emphasized in my life this week, is how precious time is, you know? So you really got to think about that. You really want to think, do you really, you know, do you want to go down that road? Do you want to learn ZBrush? I would love to learn ZBrush.
Jags has been doing really cool things in ZBrush.
He has. And I've sat down with it. I've got it. I've got a tablet if I want to mess around with it. But I'm never going to be the ZBrush artist, right? I know enough about it so that I can work with other people if I need to, open a project, export something, do something simple, you know, whatever that is. But I think a lot of people kick themselves in the butt for not knowing every piece of software.
I would agree, and I don't think anyone needs to. I think you learn the craft, you don't learn the tool. Not, you know, that's School of Motion 101 right there, Animation Boot Camp. You know, I love playing with Procreate. I just designed a tattoo that I'd love to get someday in Procreate last week. But I'm never going to be a diehard heavy Procreate user into my workflow.
Right.
And that's okay. It's something I use as an enjoyment tool, not as a business tool.
Right.
And ZBrush can be the same way, or whatever software. You can enjoy playing in something without having to make $1 off it.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm enjoying doing a lot of that stuff right now. Learning things that just absolutely don't matter that I'm not going to make $1 off of. You know, I was talking about the drumming, you know, earlier.
Yep.
I'm not planning on doing anything with that. I'm not planning on becoming a professional drummer. I don't plan on going doing gigs, nothing. I just picked it up again, and that's it.
Absolutely.
You know? So you could do the same thing with software. If you want to learn something for fun, yeah. Like, again, I'm not ditching on that at all. Dissing or ditching? Both.
Dissing.
Both.
Let's do dissing.
DJing. You know, you got a background in the DJ.
A little bit.
You know the DJ.
I've been aware.
I am learning more about DJing just because I want to know. Yeah. I don't plan on being a DJ. I don't plan on doing any gigs, but like we've been going to Camp Mograph, and every year people are DJing, and I'm thinking, well, what if we added visuals? And what if we did this? And then I want to know what resources can I bring so that other people could DJ? Or, oh, maybe I'll bring a media library. Well, how will I hook it up? Well, if I know how to DJ and how it all works, I'll just bring some fun stuff for everyone to play with because I know how it works. So now I'm learning how to DJ too.
I love that. I'll totally do like a lighting show if you guys wanted me to bring out some lighting stuff, and we'll DMX it live.
I'm
and
telling you.
It.
I've been looking up USB to DMX boxes that I could plug into this DJ FLX4. You know, make it do media too. Oh, can I get Touch Designer going with this?
Yep, absolutely.
Can I get Resolume going with it? Now I'm thinking, right? And you know, and it's just one of those things where someday someone's going to come to me, which they do sometimes. I do a lot of concert stuff and say, "Oh, we're doing this thing. It's got DMX and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, okay, I know how that works. Because
Alexander made a really good point about it. It's funny how quickly the monetization mindset kicks in for any skill, and it doesn't need to. Like, there's no reason for it. But yeah, we're just like, okay, I've got this thing, I can make $1 off it. What's more interesting is how more often than not those side skills you learn for fun actually benefit your day job. Going back to the DJ.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. And be a stress reliever.
The DJ thing. Yeah, and be a stress reliever. Yeah. Going back to the DJ thing, you know, my first 10 years of my career, I ran a wedding entertainment business. And that learning how to harness emotion in a live event for storytelling to help transitions flow throughout an event, 100% is translated into the creative I work on, because now I can understand flow, transitions, pacing, timing, even though it's completely different from live action to animation, motion graphics.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Says
I love it.
I've been mushroom forging lately, but I won't try to make a buck off that. I've been mushroom forging lately.
That is something I would love to be more aware of. I'm also too scared to do mushroom foraging, because I'm going to grab like the one I'm not supposed to eat and die.
No, that's none of that. None of that for me. I haven't actually been doing that. I'll let somebody else do that for me. You can do the foraging. I trust you.
Bring me the good stuff.
Yeah. Let the experts do it, right?
Absolutely. Trust my friends.
Yep, trust the
That's what it
expert.
is.
Trust
the expert.
Yeah, go get a contractor to take care of that for you.
Don't work for the man. Anything else going on in the MoGraph world right now?
I don't know. I kind of got to pee and stuff, and we've been going for almost an hour and a half, so I feel like we're pretty good. I feel like that was pretty decent for no notes or anything. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty good. And everybody's at Adobe Max, so whatever. They're going to listen to us later. So I'm glad we got to have an update. I'm glad we got to do a show. I needed to do it. I needed to get... I needed people to know that we're still here. One of the things that happened to my old podcast back in the day, in the early days of podcasting, is we were doing really well until we started slowing down a bit. And when people don't have their weekly show, it just, no, you got to do weekly if you're going to do a podcast like this. Yep. Now, I'm not talking about video. That's a whole different thing. But audio podcast, there's a lot of people that every week they're in their car, and I'm sure they've been really confused lately because this show comes out on such random days, and it used to be like clockwork every Monday afternoon. So I'm sorry. It will get better. We're going to get back to guests. I've got a couple people I'd like to reach out to that I've been talking to, and I just kind of put everybody on hold. So
you know who'd be a good guest?
Who's that?
Matt Milstead.
That's pretty good. So you know what? I'm going to call him, see if he'll be on the show next week.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's get out of here. Thanks, all three of you, for watching the show live today, or whoever showed up. If you listen to the show only, that's the thing. The ratio of people that watch on YouTube as opposed to people that listen is ridiculous. Like, it is all audio, and that's why we do all audio. So if you do just listen to the audio version of the show, which is like 99% of you, come join us on a live show sometime and actually see the video.
Mondays at noon.
Most Mondays at noon, and maybe it will ruin it for you. I don't know. There's a lot of podcasts I listen to where I have this image in my head of what their studio looks like, and like all the things, and it might ruin it for me if I actually see it. Ruin my worldview.
Oh, I love it. I have very specifically curated my nice wood background, so you all know I live in a log cabin.
Is it fake?
Oh, yeah.
Linoleum?
Wall panel?
Linoleum wall panel or something?
Yeah, I think.
Just roll it on?
It's composite. No, it's composite. Like, there's no sheetrock behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, but Jeff Burns just showed up. He missed the whole thing. I'm going to see Jeff in 3 weeks. Don't forget, Jeff. I got to come get all the stuff from Camp MoGraph that you still have.
I'm really excited to see I'm really excited to see your felt project, Jeff. I really want to see that.
The what now?
He's working on him and Alex Parker were talking about working on a felt 3D animation project of like Bible stories.
Have they touched it yet?
Really cool. I don't know, but it's something I'm really watching. Ding that bell.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what is it? Tell me what it is for real.
It's a Bible stories through felt character animation in Cinema 4D.
Ooh, that's fun. I've been doing a lot of felt animation this year. If you need any tips on the fuzzy parts, I can give you some tips on the fuzzy parts.
All right.
Yeah.
There we know.
Make it look warm and fuzzy and backlight it a lot. Get those rim lights of that fuzzy stuff. It makes it look chef's kiss.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hush, hush. Oh, I'm sorry. I ruined a secret surprise.
Uh-oh.
I'm so sorry. This is my problem for talking to people is I learn too much.
Okay. Allegedly.
There's no proof of this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
3 people watch this today. It's fine. Nobody knows.
It's okay. No one's watching. Oh, goodness.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Make sure that you get yourself some of our apparel. Get on there. We don't really make any money off of it, but it's good stuff. You can get yourself a nice Render Things t-shirt, hoodie, long sleeve tee. You can get yourself a Paul Babb Feel the Bad 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. MoGraph Blandishment shirt. That Render's Fire shirt, which you're only allowed to wear ironically.
If you're shams.
Unless you're shams.
Ooh.
If you're shams, you are allowed to not wear it ironically. Did I say that right?
I'm too confused. Okay. Let's just get off the show.
Yeah. And, we're on YouTube. YouTube.com/Mograph. We're at Mograph on YouTube. We are at Mograph.com on just about everything else. You can check out Mograph TV 24/7. Turn it on, rip the knob off, and you can even see the live shows.
Soon to be posting Frame 1 episodes as well.
Dude, yes, we need to get that going. I need a whole revamp. I've got all of these Mograph nugs that are just about ready to go. All these extra episodes, all the stuff for Mograph TV, and this year has completely pushed that. So maybe this fall I can finally bring that around and fix that all up. So
if you want to check out Frame 1, it's at frame1show.com. Otherwise, everything is at Frame 1 or Frame 1 Show on the YouTubes and the Instas and the TikToks and the places. Soon to have Frame 1 apparel.
And your website
is Hyperfocusmotion, my little studio here in South Dakota.
.com.
Specializing, that's hyperfocusmotion.com or wearehyperfocused.com. Specializing in all your egg technology and food and beverage. Yeah, they're good stuff.
Egg?
Agriculture.
Oh, ags. I thought you specifically specialized in eggs.
Those little round balls of deliciousness.
We do all egg animations. That's all we do.
Egg technology.
Eggtech.com. That's it, though. I really appreciate you filling in and sitting through the reschedules and whatnot and moving your schedule around so that you could come hang out. And
thanks for having me. Always a good time.
Looking forward to getting back in on Discord and having some normalcy in my life again. I don't think I've sat down for a full 8-hour day in front of my desk since before half res. So time to get back to it. So yeah. So we're going to get out of here. Until next time, I'm Dave.
I'm Drysen.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Later, yo.
Get up. DJ.
Era. Stand by.